Welcome to the Iolani School podcast. I'm John Tamanaha, Director of Interactive Media and a frequent morning visitor to the faculty lounge where coffee is usually accompanied by good conversations. This podcast strives to share that sort of experience. This is our 18th episode as we continue to visit with people associated with Iolani School to hear their personal stories. We went on location once again and talked to Sodexo General Manager Kevin Wada in, that's right, the faculty lounge, which is adjacent to the cafeteria in the student center. Of course, we asked him about Iolani's famous Mochiko chicken, but the food offerings on campus go far beyond that celebrated dish. In addition to making a wide variety of delicious food, Kevin and his dedicated staff played a key role in our students' return to campus last September, organizing and implementing new food service procedures. We also couldn't let him go without asking him about his impressive song and dance talents and how he feels about our school from a parent's perspective. Thanks for downloading. Please enjoy. Normally we're here in the faculty lounge talking about Iolani baseball, softball, maybe even USC football.
Yes,
you and I have a passion for. More recent times, golf.
Right.
Which has been fun. But this time we're here to talk about you.
Oh, that's unfortunate. the gene pool must be getting weak. They're going to Mr. Wada, the cafeteria manager.
Food is important, Kevin. Food, it's part of
food that does your body good.
Yeah.
Got you.
And we are doing this here in the faculty lounge during spring break. Mm-hmm. Because when you go up to Kevin Wada and you say, hey, I'd like to do an interview with you, when would it be good? It's like,
spring break's pretty open.
Yeah, spring break, summer, winter break, something like that.
Got it.
You are a hard worker. Capital H, capital W. So thank you for making the time. It is spring break, but you're serving, taking care of the dorm.
We have some kids who weren't able to go anywhere, so they got to eat too.
We've got a lot to cover here, but I want to start with food. Like I said earlier, food is important to everyone.
Okay.
And you work in the cafeteria. You work for Sodexo. What's your title?
General manager, but at the end of the day, it's the cafeteria manager. Yeah. Come on now.
And so what we're talking about is cafeteria food.
Okay.
You know, Kings, our sound engineer here, went to Kamehameha, and their food probably wasn't like the food I had at Wanal Elementary or Iolani School in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
You went to Pearl City High School. We're talking about cafeteria food, but honestly, from an unbiased perspective, the food that you make here is really good.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I mean, and so I want to dive into how do you do that? Like, there's a wide variety of things that you serve. Even during the COVID situation, things have changed, but the quality of the food is really high.
Thank you for number one for bringing that up. We appreciate that. I don't look at our food as quote unquote cafeteria food.
It's not.
Or the program itself, I don't look at it. Are we the cafeteria? Yes, we are. Yeah. But I've never tried to view it as the cafeteria. My experience with food service is actually in college food service. That's how I grew up. That's where my job experiences were. So a lot of my experiences are retail-based, quote-unquote retail-based, which is basically you as a customer are going to purchase food. It's an option for you. And what's important about that is you want repeat customers, right? So the way to get that is trying to produce the best product with what you're given, with good customer service and everything, so people can want to come back. And that's basically the premise of what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Although it's captured in a sense, right? And only seniors can really go out or whatever. We still have the mindset of making sure that they want to come back. So that's it. Now, parameters may have changed, right? In terms of COVID, everything's pre-ordered. Can't, get what you want whenever you want. But the premise is still the same. Trying to make food that people want to eat, so that they come back.
So what's interesting to me is, yes, everybody wants to make food that people want to eat, and I guess in a way you're competing with home lunches, right? Yeah. But in the sense that you're competing with home lunches, we're talking about, again, I'll use the air quotes, cafeteria food, because the prices have to be kind of in line with what would be something not off campus, So there's that. Is that kind of you're the general manager,
right?
And you have to keep the prices as reasonable as you can for the families, yet you're striving to create this.
So that's the balancing act that we try to have. We try to have, whether you call it low end type options, mixed in with maybe something a little higher in the end, and then you try and meet some in the middle. But it is a balance for sure. Trying to make sure that, we could make steak and lobster if we wanted to, but is someone really going to pay $20 for a school lunch meal? That's, not going to happen. But to try and get that steak and lobster experience without having to serve steak and lobster, right?
There are some things that are high end, and I get what you're saying, and then I always enjoy those things. And we'll talk about some of those things in a bit. But sometimes I like to go get the egg salad sandwich and a bag of Doritos.
Exactly.
And you have that as well.
And then and that serves its purpose, right?
Very
Absolutely.
Cool. So when you're making the things that aren't egg salad sandwiches, even though there is an art to everything, tell me about your staff. Like, I've talked to some of them in the past, and they're chefs or sous chefs from other places on the island, and they're talented people.
We've got a great group of guys. When I say guys, it's ladies and gentlemen, of course, but great group of people working with us. They care, and at the end of the day, that's what you need, people who care. They enjoy working with the kids, the faculty, the staff. This is a great place to work. From the standpoint of, they say one team here, and it truly is from the standpoint of what everybody does is really for the school. And from a vendor standpoint, it's really enjoyable to know that whatever we do, it's really for the school. And we enjoy that from the outside perspective, which we're a vendor. We don't feel that way. We actually feel like we work for Iolani School. Yeah. And we do. So,
that's what it feels like for us. I mean, we see you and your staff, and the kids refer to them as uncle, auntie. We feel like they're part of the school, but you guys work for Sodexo. So tell me a little bit about that company.
Well, Sodexo, if we're gonna go way back, when you and I were going to school, and this may date ourselves, but originally I think Iolani was a Saga Foods account.
Saga Foods,
that was back, and that was before me, just to preface that. And I believe in 1988, Marriott Corporation bought out Saga Foods. So we were Marriott for a while. Then I want to say maybe 99, maybe. Sodexo and Marriott merged within this corporate structure. And then 4 or 5 years later, it became just Sodexo. And Marriott got out of the the contract food service business. So, we've been Sodexo, and Sodexo is a huge company. Yeah. We're worldwide. It's actually a French-owned company, subsidiary, of North America. That's what we are under. But huge company. They have businesses in, healthcare, retirement homes, sports and leisure. Just the whole gamut,
And so some of your employees here have spanned all of that. I mean, some of them have worked here at the school for 30 plus years.
We have I'm surprised at how long. We just had a lady retire that was in the 30 plus range. We just had one that just made 25 years. We have a couple of them that are in their 20s. Which really just goes to show you that this place is a great place to work.
Yeah, and those people are honored at faculty staff functions or
which is amazing, honestly. Yeah.
Super awesome. I think when we talk about the quality of the food too, Saga Food, when I went to school here, it wasn't great because, but it was what we had to eat to sustain ourselves, right? So I don't think that this is, I'm talking about it from a perspective, like that was then, this is now type thing, because I don't know. I mean, you're class of 88, I'm class of 87 from high school. There wasn't a word called foodies, or was there? I mean, we weren't really so concerned about food, right?
Okay,
but now there's a lot of foodies or food shows or discussions about food.
So that's where things have changed in regards to the food service programs. Customers, people, students are just more educated now in food. The advent of food TV, right? Emerald Lagasse back then, and now he's considered back then with the BAM and all of that stuff. People are familiar with different cuisines. They're educated on food when food was not that sophisticated when you and I, we just went, oh, this tastes good. And that's all we knew, right? But with the advent of food TV and now with social media, which let me preface, I'll talk about social media, but I am not in social media, but I know for a fact because of my children, it's a thing.
Yeah. Everybody takes pictures of their food.
I just saw my wife showed me this TikTok, and they're making food on TikTok, right? They're like
Kings is showing us right now.
So the information is readily available that much sooner now, right? So
makes your job harder.
Absolutely. Well, it keeps you on your toes, right? Because you do one thing bad, everybody's going to know in a minute, right? And that's the information age we live in today. So again, what we try to do, right, is to produce the best things that we can with what we have. And if we just worry about that, everything else takes care of its own, right? Well, that's my philosophy anyway, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
You have been on social media. I don't know if you've seen these things.
Excuse me? What was that?
This guy is on, I don't know, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook.
Gosh.
You're making the Iolani School beef stroganoff, the Iolani School, get ready, drum roll, mochiko chicken.
Mochiko chicken, right.
I've seen your picture and your mochiko chicken recipe in the local newspaper. Tell me about the mochiko chicken.
Okay, I am not gonna take full credit for the mochiko chicken. Okay, this is the story that I was given. Geez, the original menu or the recipe that Mochiko Chicken came out, I believe, and I don't know if you can quote me on this, but it was around the early 90s, is from my understanding. And I got here in 2007 was my first year. And when people used to talk about Mochiko Chicken, it was like, oh, Mochiko Chicken, oh, Mochiko Chicken, it's coming, right? And I'm like, okay, well, what's the big deal? Right? I didn't know. I've eaten Mochiko Chicken before. Okay, it's all right. And we would serve it on one side of the line, run out before, when the line was still halfway out the door, we were out. And I just couldn't understand, oh my gosh, what's the craze here? So 2 years went by, and I decided, you know what? Anytime we make Mochiko Chicken, the other entrees that we're serving doesn't sell at all. So why not, let's just do Mochiko Chicken for the whole, every menu thing that we got on that particular day. We'll have enough for everyone, and okay, we'll see what happens.
You have to please the masses, right?
Well, we tried, right? So we put it on, and I remember this vividly. The first time we did it, and it was just a total guess, right? Because we only used to do about 120 pounds.
Oh my!
For one side of the line, run out immediately. So try to do some educated guess, empirical evidence. So we'll try with 300 for the first time. Of course, we did everything that day, barely made it at 11 o'clock, but we did. And we had enough and sold out, and everybody got. And we were like, oh, I think we found something here.
It was more than double.
And that was almost triple from that standpoint, right? So next time we did it, say 300, but this time, hey, we better prep some out because we cannot wait that long. So we par fried maybe about 100 pounds the day before. And
what does that mean? Par fried?
So we breaded it, and then we par fried it, meaning we don't cook it all the way. Partial, right? Okay. Brown it, then we refrigerate it, then we finish it in the oven the next day. And then, oh shoot, we ran out. And there were still people in line. So, hey guys, we're with 320 next time. Okay, so went with 320, went to 360. We went to 400.
Wow.
Went to 420. Don't ask me why I remember these numbers, because this is exactly how it went. And it went from semester to months. Then it will last for maybe 3 cycles, and then went to 480. Went to 5.
Wow.
Went to 540. The most we got was to 640.
From 120.
From 120. And 640 was where we left off pre-COVID. Was 640. Now, 640 is literally the maximum this kitchen can hold. We even if we wanted to make more, we cannot.
Yeah. Because it's an intense process. You just talked about partial frying and then finish it in the oven.
So it really starts the Thursday before, the week before. Yeah. So we grab 640 pounds and we take it out of the freezer and we put it in the refrigerator to defrost. And we always do it when there's a Monday holiday. Because that Monday holiday, we cut 640 pounds.
Oh.
On Tuesday, we marinate it. Wednesday, we bread and we try to par fry at least half. And then the next day, we're frying and we're finishing in the oven, pulling it out, putting the next ones in the oven. and literally every nook and cranny is filled with chicken in our kitchen.
And what people have to understand about this, I worked in restaurants. Probably the Hard Rock Cafe is the closest thing that I'll reference just in terms of volume. But we're doing that over 6 hours in and around lunch. You're doing it within minutes, serving all 640 pounds, right? That stuff has to be ready. Hot.
Well,
that's an awesome undertaking.
I mean, you're also, yes, chicken, 640 pounds, but you're talking, was it 16 gallons of rice, which from a pound's perspective, I think it's 6 gallons per 50 pounds, I think. So whatever the math is, I think we're like 120 some pounds of rice. It's ridiculous, the amount. But so anyway, sorry, this question was about social media. Right?
Well, no, it was you. You've been on social media because of this.
Okay, so
this pandemonium around that one dish, and I think the social media plan might have been, hey, we're not going to come with the mochiko chicken yet. I think the first cooking lesson you gave was the beef stroganoff, which I enjoy immensely as well.
So it came about because I believe someone in where was it? I'm not sure if it was student activities mentioned like, hey, everyone's stuck at home. This would be a great way for kids to eat make something from school that they miss. Okay. So we went with beef stroganoff, which it's fairly popular and fairly easy to do. And of course, I've never done a cooking show, or I've watched many of them.
It actually appeared to be harder than I thought it would be. There was some things, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be trying this.
No, so I had a plan in my mind, and it took way too long. So luckily, my daughter knew how to, fast forward things and do stuff to make it quicker. So the next one we did, I believe, was pork adobo, which was way easier, right? And then the last one we knew was going to be right before. It was kind of an homage to the seniors. Yeah. The last time they eat mochiko chicken, blah, 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 right? And so we did it, and apparently, apparently that took off. Because it was only meant for the school, right? The students or whatever, and I thought it was cool, right? And keep in mind too, we had to break down the rest because our small recipe is 30 pounds.
Small recipe.
Right.
Yeah.
That's our small recipe. So we had to bring it down to a family style portion, which I believe became 3 or 4 pounds. Right. So we did that. And then I believe Michelle, he called me saying, hey, this, do you mind if we put it out on, I don't know, was it Facebook or whatever? I'm not sure. And okay, well, whatever. I don't know anything about that, right? Then she's telling me, oh, this thing kind of went crazy.
Yeah.
And of course, not me being the non-follower of things. Like, oh, okay, that's good. Not realizing that, then I've got people coming, alums saying, oh, thank you. My daughter is in wherever, California, and is making it. And that was the cool part for me.
All over the world, people were making the Iolani school mochi.
And then, Michelle then came back and said, hey, the advertiser wants to do something. I go, wait, what's going on here? Wait, I just made mochi. It wasn't meant for, and then of course, when the paper hits, right, then, I'm more of the old school guy, right? And, my parents are still around, so they're calling me saying their friends is, hey, your boy is whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So yeah, that's, I guess, how it took off,
It's cool you're sharing the secrets too. the world.
It's really not a secret. At the end of the day, it was something this school loved, right? Let's be honest, right? And I'm gonna be honest. I don't really. The way we make it is not how I'm used to eating it, right? But so when I first got here, I was like, you know what? I think we should change it. Then after the first day we served, I said, oh, we're not changing nothing, right? I mean, you'd be crazy to do something, change something that people enjoy. So
yeah, there's different. I've been sampling mochiko chicken all over the island in recent years, and yeah, they're all different.
All different, correct.
So this one is good. That being said, I'm going to say something that hopefully people don't send me. Think I'm off base here or something, but I haven't had the mochiko chicken in a long time. And during the COVID time, because Mochiko Chicken Day, which is on a Thursday once a month, also aligns with the day that you offer garlic shrimp on penne pasta with shiitake mushrooms and garlic bread.
That's
which
correct.
Is really good.
Oh, thank you.
And I have to choose, and I've always chosen
the
that.
garlic shrimp.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really enjoy it, and that's the length of the description. It's like
that is
a
true.
menu
It
item,
is a little long,
and it's no, but it's.
Let me explain. Okay. So when we do mochiko chicken, like I mentioned before, every nook and cranny of our kitchen is taken, right? So we can't serve any more rice dishes. We can't serve anything that's on the grill or fried or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
That can't oven anything. So the only spot that we have left open is our stoves. So the only thing that we can physically make is we can boil water for our pasta. We can put some frying pans on the stove and saute things. And thus, garlic shrimp and penne. Now, that being said, that is a dish that we served in our one team wagon.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, well, and then we also try to balance, what will pull people away from the mochiko that would make it, a little more balanced. And we do approximately 180 to 200 orders of the pasta.
So that's people are with me on that.
Yeah.
That's a good.
That's
dish.
a good puller. Yeah.
That's a very good lunch. I have other favorites. Things like Japanese beef curry, beef stroganoff we talked about. But more recently, I'm really getting into these sandwiches that you have. There's a weekly sandwich and salad that's served over there next to the baseball field. And spicy Italian sandwich. Ooh, that's high quality. There's a chipotle chicken sandwich. There's also a bruschetta chicken sandwich and a BLT pesto chicken sandwich and strawberry and basil chicken salad, popcorn chicken salad, all sorts of things we can mention. Chinese chicken salad is excellent. Tremendously good dressing on that. So many. How do you guys produce so many things for that?
That's a very good question.
Yeah. I mean, how do you organize that? How do you plan it? How many people are working there? I just threw a whole bunch of questions your way, but try to help us understand.
I guess I'll start. This started, of course, during COVID, right? Where
I guess there's two conversations we could have. We could talk about the previous menu selections and the current ones. But tell us about the now.
What my plan was we knew that we had to go to some sort of pre-ordered system.
And let me preface that by saying the whole lunch thing is the biggest hurdle in bringing the kids back to campus. In a sense, because we can be PPE,
right?
But when we eat,
that's coming off.
There's a mask off. So how the kids get their food, how they eat it, and how they get it quickly, and how their lines. We can't have lines the way we are. So you were tasked with kind of a mission.
So and that mission came from the school.
Yeah.
Right, was, Kevin, we need to try to do everything in our power to prevent lines. Right? That was first and foremost. Make it simple, right? So that, it'll be quick. So we already knew that ordering your food while in line was out. It wasn't going to happen. Whether it's a snack bar, waiting in line with 3 choices of options, those were gone.
Walking up to somebody and looking at the menu board.
Right. Those were gone. Yeah. So we needed to come up with some sort of pre-ordered option, and taking away the choice of, not necessarily choices, but the choice of when you're in line. Whatever line you're in, that's what you're going to get, right? And at the end of the day, that's what it came down to. But my challenge was to incorporate that with what our kitchen can accomplish, right? So if we have so many hot foods, we knew that we needed to order or produce some other options that other areas of our kitchen could make. For example, the salads, the sandwiches. And the good part about that was it gives the customer different options as well, right? Healthier options. So we try to touch every gamut within it. What we did fail in the beginning, right, was we thought we needed to minimize our choices. So we had a salad, we had a sandwich, we had our size bowl lunches, couple bowl size options. And we have our bento at Weinberg, right? So, in the first 3 weeks, the production was great from the production standpoint. The distribution standpoint was amazing because, I'm not sure if everyone knows, but in previous years, we would be serving lunch right here in the cafeteria, and the kids may have 10 minutes on a bad day to eat and then go to class, where the way we do it now, they have like 35, 40 minutes. And lines are clear. So that was fantastic. Now, where we didn't realize was we do have a bunch of students or customers or even adults that are heavier eaters that needed a bigger option. And what we found was there were 3 choices, or sorry, 3 lines that we would distribute, bowls, and one of them really wasn't needed anymore. So we created the plate from that, and then that kind of covered all the bases, for our program.
I'm in that line when it's stroganoff day
or
Japanese beef
curry day, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, that's how it kind of evolved. The whole process evolved,
Not having lines, let me just say, as a customer, it's actually kind of worked out because you get what you order. I just put in my order for next week last night, and a lot of what I'm getting when we return to school is going to be the Weinberg bento, the bowls that are over there. And in previous years, if you wanted to go get a garlic chicken, and I know it's on Wednesdays, right? You got to get there
before 11:30.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I tried 10:45 sometimes.
Oh, geez.
I mean, because
you're right.
It sells out, and
well, let me explain that one then. So when we were, we had the one team wagon, we had everything else going on. There was only so much things we could do or to make over there.
Yeah.
Just from holding it safely and producing it, right? So we would make 60 pounds. and 70 was our max, right?
Garlic chicken.
Yeah. Right? The largest, because we are on the pre-order system and everybody orders and whoever orders is going to get it, the largest one we've done so far is 150 pounds.
Wow.
So here's the sad part. The potential of us before COVID time, we could have done 150 pounds to actually sell at that many, garlic chicken, which is kind of scary, know.
There's a whole neat science about all of
yes,
this stuff. And,
absolutely.
Somebody might come and say, well, why don't you serve it on the line? Or, there's all sorts of.
There is absolutely a science or I call it chess, right? So
3D chess.
It's like when they're mochiko chicken, what can we do to space it out? Because ideally, this is what you want, right? You want 50 guys to order entree 1. You want 50 guys to order entree 2. You want 50 guys. So from a perspective of production, everything is even, right? What you don't want is 200 guys getting 1 and 20 guys getting 4, right? That, from a production standpoint, that's not good. So that's what I do when you say play chess, where we try and make it so that, everything tries to be even.
From the, it's an interesting game of chess because sometimes things sell out. Like we're talking about the Weinberg snack bar, the item there, or when the One Team Wagon was in full bloom and in all its glory before the COVID era. But everybody gets something eventually. Now we kind of know what we're getting. And I think there's probably a little less options.
Yeah.
Because of, but not that much less. And what doesn't happen, which was kind of cool aside from the time that's involved in this. But when I came back to Hawaii and started working here in 2011, they tell me, "Oh, it's Mochiko Chicken Day." And I'm like, "Well, what is that?" Like, well, if you want to try the Mochiko chicken, you got to get down there quick. I'm like, what? Kind of like you when you're talking about Mochiko chicken, but this might blow some people's minds, especially alums that went to this school, right? So they tell me, no, seriously, John, teachers, if they have it was fifth period or right before lunch at that time with the eight period schedule 10 years ago, they will let their kids out early because the teacher needs to get in line, right? Teachers don't cut the line here, right? So there's a big line, and I
know who you're talking about, but I'm not going to say who they are.
No, it was multiple people.
No, you're right.
But so I'm like, wait, what? Teachers are letting class out early on Mochiko Chicken Day so that they can get in line? You go, yeah, the line starts building. It's like, wow, this is a different situation over there at the student center. But very cool. But now you get what you want.
That's true.
Previously, I did kind of enjoy the whole thing. Like, One Team Wagon has the Polish sausage with Puerto Rican chili, so we got to go early. Or the other favorites that are served out of there. Hopefully, that'll be back in business sooner than later over there by the residence hall and the castle building. Let's talk about the residence hall a little bit. So 3 years ago, we reinstated the boarding program here at Iolani School, and room and board, right? They have to eat, and at some point the administration comes to you and says, "Kevin, we're going to be feeding residents." Now there's 70 in the program right now. King's Iolani here is a house parent, and they eat too when they're on duty. So you've got some people that are your constant customers. And, how's that been?
Well, luckily for me anyway, I've done resident food service. I've traveled I've done it at Point Loma Nazarene, which is in San Diego, and I've also ran the dormitories here at University of Hawaii. So I was very familiar with board feeding. I knew what it entailed. What is challenging, I would say, you have a very diverse group, but heavy Asian influence. However, you do have other ethnicities that you have to be aware of. So, from all over. So, trying to come up with food that they enjoy, and at the end of the day, and I don't care how good your food is, if you eat somewhere for 7 days, 2-3 meals a day, you're gonna get tired. You're gonna want your Jack in a Box or wherever you want at some point.
College dorming experience.
College dorming experience, absolutely. So
that's good food generally.
So that's always a challenge, right? To come up with some things that are new every once in a while to break the monotony of what we're doing. And keeping in mind that, in a college setting, sometimes you'd go to another building to eat, right? Yeah. For our students, it's the same place. It's the same menu. So if you got Japanese beef curry for lunch on a Tuesday, 2 weeks from now at dinner, it's Japanese beef curry, but it's going to be the same one, right? So, absolutely, it's challenging, but again, it's the same. We live by the same mantra, right? We want them to come back. We want them to want to come back, not because they have to come back. So, if we do that, everything should be okay, right? So,
yeah. You and I had a previous conversation in this room about one of our residential students they have these kind of heritage nights or cultural sharing nights, and she wanted to present Persian food, and so she came to you with some menu items and all those things, and
right. So they've done a very good job, the residence halls, of trying to engage the students in these cultural learning experiences. And there was the Lunar New Year, which was a few months back. They did I forgot the name of the Mexican one. But they did that one. They did an Indian one. But this one, we have one student, and it's from I think it's called Nowruz, which is the Persian New Year, a couple of weeks back. And, okay, I've had Mexican food, I've made Mexican food, I've Chinese, Lunar New Year, I've done those things. Persian food had no clue, zero clue. And so we sat down, and she was absolutely fantastic. Diora was her name. And she said, okay, Mr. Wada, this is traditionally what they do. So the first one was something called shashlik. And I go, okay, great. How do you spell it? So we spell it out. We go on, of course, Google. And sure enough, it's beef skewers. Okay, we can do that, right? We can do that. Then she goes, okay, this is a rice dish called plav. Okay, can you spell that? So there we go on Google again. Look it up. Oh, we can do that. Okay. Then we go down the line, something called ashuk, which is like a tomato and onion salad. Again, looked it up. So we can do that. And it's chorba, which is like a soup. Okay, we can do that. And then she made a couple of suggestions, and the main thing was just looking at the ingredients. Could we get it? And of course, some things we couldn't get, but we just made adjustments on. And, it turned out really well. Actually, I was surprised at how like flavorful the food came out. So yeah, and it's not only fun for them, but it's really fun for us too, because when we're doing something that we're not too sure of, we kind of take a little more, you kind of focus a little bit more, and then it turns out really good, and so
that's so cool, because the residential program is not only about those students coming to live here from other parts of the country and the state and the world, but the rest of us, the rest of the students, and you in this case, learn from them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
That is so awesome.
And the experiences that I cannot imagine, especially with these COVID times, and you talk to some of these students who came from China or Vietnam or wherever they came from, and the processes that they had to go through, not only what they had to do, but I can't imagine, as they're still high school students on their own, quarantining in a different country is amazing, Wow.
Yeah, we had Min on the podcast earlier.
Oh, is that right?
And just his story about going back to Vietnam and what he had to kind of endure before, within their quarantine was startling, and he learned from that.
Absolutely.
Kevin, the fair. I mean, when we're preparing for the fair and it's in mid-April and you're still running the cafeteria and there's a boarding program, there's so much work to do in the cafeteria, in the kitchen, in the student center, in this room that we're at. I come in with my classmates and we work on prepping the huli beef sandwiches and whatnot. But I see you and your staff, and Dennis comes back to the kitchen, and all of those things. People are really pitching in and working so hard. What is that experience like? Because the food on the fairgrounds, it's not all being prepared out on the fairgrounds.
Right.
There's a lot of prep. I mean, weeks, months, and things going on in the kitchen in this building that we're in. Seemingly 24/7.
Right. I'm going to be honest. When I first got here, I came to this school knowing what it was about. There was a lot of extracurricular activities, but a lot of catering, retail-based food service. So I was used to all of that stuff. The one thing that I had no clue on was this fair. And oh my Lord, I had a rude awakening on what it was about, but, as time goes on, you develop systems and you got great people working, within the fair itself, great leaders, and, now we got Kevin Tomisato, who's constantly here, and you got great support staff. It truly is, time, commitment, and I give them props for what they do. From our standpoint, the kitchen is basically run, it goes from like 4:30 in the morning and it goes to like 11 o'clock at night for about almost 2 weeks straight, and it's not only the prepping and the cooking. Don't forget, there's cleanup after all of those things. Yeah. Right? So, it's a process. It's a lot of coordination. But what they do and what we've done over the years, we create systems, and then the numbers are, pretty similar. Year after year, right? So, sometimes it rains, that might affect something, but
Those guys have it down to a science.
That's
we got
it's pretty amazing.
Those long-time
Yes.
guys that we couldn't do it without. James Lee,
Ernie Choi, absolutely.
You got Chef Ronnie from Tiki's, and it's cool to kind of spend a couple nights in here and learn from them and
It's amazing.
See everything
It's amazing.
that's going on. But thank you for your work on that over the years. And the other thing we have to talk about is your performance talents.
God. Wait, are we done now? Are we done?
No, this is a part of this whole thing. It's not all about food. It's like this guy.
Oh gosh.
And Kings has seen some of these. What I'm talking about is the pumpkin patch event, which happens prior to Halloween, and that's for kindergarten and first grade families. They're performing, and there's a faculty staff extravaganza within that. There's also things such as Families Are Forever, which is a second grade program where families are celebrated, and parents and grandparents come and enjoy that. And there's sometimes some entertainment aspects from parents.
Oh gosh.
But Kevin Wada is out there wearing costumes, right? Like ghoulish type things or a skeleton. And he's doing his thing. And it doesn't look like you're the general manager of the Sodexo at Iolani School. It looks like you're a performer. And I'm not.
Oh gosh.
I'm not blowing smoke. Lisa Simone was on the podcast, the
no.
previous, and I was talking to her. I said, "Oh, Kevin Wada's going to be next." She goes, "Oh my God!" And I've seen these things, right? But Lisa's telling me she used the word gifted.
Oh no!
She goes, "He is really gifted," and I was telling her, I said, "That kind of makes sense because from what I see, and I know, I have a hard time scheduling an hour and a half with Kevin to do a podcast interview. Where is he going to do this rehearsal, right? It's probably only for a few minutes, a couple times." She goes, "Yeah, exactly right. We do it in secrecy. We pull down the blinds." And so tell me about that. That man. Aspect of your personality. I think I'm a little more comfortable
talking about food. Oh my Lord. Well, ironically, I knew Lisa from college, so I knew she was a dancer. So I knew her from before, and when my daughter was in whatever second grade or whatever, I guess she knew haphazardly I could at least hold a tune or dance to a beat or whatever. And, fortunately or unfortunately, I do have no shame. That's one thing it doesn't bother me is I'm not afraid to do stuff. So
that's so cool.
And I would say that it is fun. It's something different. It's something out of the everyday. It's really like a stress relief, and Lisa is amazing for what she gets the kids to do, what she gets us to do.
Yeah. You're out there with teachers.
And all of that stuff, right? So, I can relive my 20s again, right? 60 pounds later or whatever the words are.
But you say you're having fun and the audience is having fun. When you come out, it's kind of a surprise. Sometimes you're the featured guy. And the kids, and they're kindergartners, first grade, second grade, but they know you. Like most of the kids on this campus, and they just love it. So do the parents, right? Which many of them know you as well. But those things are really cool. Thank you for doing that. Lisa said, I asked her, I said, has he ever turned you down? Has he ever seen a costume that... No, he hasn't.
Yeah.
And
there was one year my back went out. So I had to...
It was physical limitations.
Physical limitations. And that's the old age part, right? Where, so sorry, Lisa, I can't, but...
Most famous might be MC Hammer.
Oh, God.
Your MC Hammer.
Lisa
You should
Simone,
challenge
I'm going to talk to her. Oh, God.
Manny Diao, who did the MC Hammer, I think, in the previous variety show. In the,
Oh,
the
my
lower
gosh.
term.
No, he's way more in shape than I am right now. Let me tell you. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I mean, Lisa, I don't know where she found it, but she had the gold chain, she had the long sleeve shiny shirt, the baggy Cavarici pants. I mean, it went the whole nine, and all I had to do was show up and, hop around, jump around, and, and it's entertaining. You just gear yourself up and say, okay, let's go, and just let loose, and the cool part, I remember vividly, the kids were amazing. They're part of the show. They were doing the MC Hammer stuff, and my part was fairly simple, honestly, and just fitting in and for most of us, we were all around that age at that time, so it was even more of a riot when, the parents are just looking at you and just are in stitches because they're recalling, themselves there too,
And the kids are very young, but what they're seeing is very entertaining and very enjoyable.
Oh, gosh.
Eyes and ears.
Thanks for the memories, John. Appreciate it.
She sent me videos. Not like I didn't see those things.
Gosh.
But, if it was audio of you playing and singing, then we might have Kings cue it up and we listen to it all together. But
I'm glad we're only on audio then.
But what maybe I seem to recall you and your band played at a Christmas party we had. Years ago.
We did couple Christmas parties for I believe when Dr. Iwashita was still the headmaster here. We did couple of the Christmas parties. I believe one might have been at Wada and one was at the old Hihing, right? And that's also was sort of a relief thing for me, right? To do something again that was not food related or anything is just getting out with a group of guys and just strumming away, and it's
not everybody can do that. Kings over here is nodding his head, but not everybody can do that. You're a musician.
No,
you have a band
I wouldn't
you
consider.
Can call upon, but that's awesome.
No, that's kind of a retired thing too, but it is something that, as Kings would know, it's something you love, right? And maybe if I had more time back, when the kids started playing sports and stuff, that's when it really slowed down for me and sort of stopped. But when it's something that you love, it makes it really easy to just jump in and get going, So
when did that develop, your love of music?
Oh, good question. I mean, I was in band, from 7th grade.
Pro City High School.
Pro City.
You gotta be in the band.
In the band, right? One of the 400 or whatever it was. And then I actually played, I was in the University of Hawaii band as well. Played in the jazz band, concert band, marching band, did the whole thing for 5 years. And really only picked up the guitar probably in my freshman year in college because that was something to do, right? With your favorite beverage of choice and learning songs and whatever. And, hooked up with a bunch of buddies and, just learned that. And then probably about 10 years later, so I guess I was in my early 30s, I hooked up with this guy I knew in college, and he brought his friends from Seattle. And we kind of had a good thing going, but then, there's 3 guitars. And you don't need 3 guitars, so we need somebody who could play some sort of percussion or drum so we can have the sound, right? And, I was the closest one with the most rhythm, so I was the guy, right? So I kind of had to learn the percussion or the drum or whatever, for this particular band. And, I wouldn't say I'm technically sound, but I could keep a beat,
That is so cool. So, Riley and Wada, class of 20, is at Pacific Lutheran.
Pacific Lutheran, yeah.
And Brandon, your son, is a sophomore now. Time sure flies, class of 23. So when Brandon goes to college, then maybe Kevin can get back into music.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
Have a little more time.
Have a little more time, absolutely. I don't know, golf is kind of taking over, so you never know,
This is cool. But, speaking of that, your kids, how do you look upon Iolani School? How do you and your wife, Valerie, kind of...
we had no idea what this process was going to be like. But really looking back at the progress Riley made, for sure, now that she's off to college, we really appreciate the level of education, the level of follow through, the level of commitment the school has to the child, and the growth that she made while she was here. I cannot put money or words to that. And of course the friendships that she's made and the connections that she's made, unbelievable. It's really, and of course I'm comparing myself, which was really nothing, right, to what this school's been able to provide.
It's really awesome.
It is awesome.
I've seen Riley in musical theater performances. I've seen her win the state championship in softball. Under Coach Benny Agbayani.
They're still state champs too, by the way. We haven't relinquished the throne yet,
That is true. And there won't be a state championship. There will be an ILH season.
That's right.
But,
that's right.
We were talking about that the other day, that, Iolani Agbayani, her senior year, hopefully there's a state championship tournament.
Maybe we'll be the 4th time by then, right? Whatever
it is. To not have ever lost the title.
That's right.
But
that's right.
Yeah, it was cool to see Riley and her teammates accomplish that goal. But Kevin, you're a big part of this school. Maybe you don't collect a paycheck that says Iolani School on it, but it seems like you're right here with us.
Oh, absolutely.
You're super, super important, super hardworking.
Well, thank you, John. Talented. Appreciate it. I don't know about that part, but thank you very much for the kind words. The talent part, I don't know about that, but thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We really do appreciate all that you bring to the school. Thanks to you and, of course, your staff, which is a tremendous group of people who really kind of fill out what this is and have really helped the students come back to campus and keep everybody nourished and healthy and ready for all the things that go into a day here at Iolani School.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the time.
Thank you, sir. Till we do it again.
Till I see you in this room and we talk about something completely different.
All right.
You hold me to task for bringing up MC Hammer.
Oh, no. Hopefully we don't have to talk about that again. All right, man.
Take care, Kevin.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.